Here
Hi,
again.
Alex.
Last week, everybody that is following that up knows that I haven't made the live stream. The, a month ago, I haven't done it, and last week, 2 weeks ago, I did it with a topic about the uh, for U.S. companies expanding to Europe. And today, I chose a topic that it lays in my heart, and I want to say things. I even prepared a PowerPoint uh, to show during this live stream, but I decided against that at the end. And the reason why I decided against
Thank
that
you.
is yes, no, don't worry. The reason I decided against that is because I think that, as I am going to explain, the challenges, at least in the sales part, is the lack of, of pure in-depth communication.
Mm.
So enough of PowerPoints, enough of PDFs, enough of online calls, enough of emails. So what is for me the biggest challenge that I am facing, at least the way I can perceive it. Okay,
What
and
is
I
it?
say that because I'm 54. So when the internet came to normal people like us, I was in my 30s, so at the beginning of my 30s. So until I was 30 years old, I didn't use no mobile phones, no internet, no Zoom calls, no Google, no nothing. All these things didn't exist in my life, and communication was, besides the normal telephone communication, was a face-to-face physical communication where you met people in reality, you shook hands, and you spoke and you said what you had to say directly with them and not behind the screen. And why I'm saying that? I'm saying that because I think what happened is, from the one side, we lost two generations. We lost basically everybody. We lost everybody because either there is the younger generation, and that applies to people that are 40 years old and younger, which were people that, yes, maybe they didn't have the internet when they were 18, but once they jumped in their professional life in the beginning of 20s, they were online. Okay, so everybody that is 40 or younger than 40, but also the older ones like me, or people that are 60 or maybe even older, those guys, they if they cannot manage this whole technology, they resigned, and they gave power to all those people that can handle the technology. However, they grew within the technology, what made many of them lose a lot of human skills to understand certain things better. And the number one human skill that they lost, it's their integrity. So it's very easy to be at the other side of the world in a different country, hold online meetings, talk with people online, or even avoid that by sending emails, sending automated LinkedIn messages, sending WhatsApps, and don't have the backbone required to stand in front of a person physically and explain certain things. So what I see as the biggest challenge in today's world is that some basic, very important human skills, if not lost, they are about to get lost due to this technology. That is the number one challenge that I see, because I see all this younger generation that is focused in skills. Skills are nice. I mean, no doubt about it. I mean, the more skills you have and the more proficient you are in Excel or in understanding complex software, or all these things are nice. But what about integrity? What about the content of your character? What about your confidence? What about the way you talk? Your the you standing for certain points? Because if you are not accountable about what you say, if you are not in front of a person when you are talking, it's very easy to let's say to relax and to lose the muscle of integrity, the muscle of backbone to become more weakened. So that is the number one challenge and threat that I see in my profession. And the number two thing that I see in sales nowadays is it's what you have to say adapted to the machine, to the technicality of the algorithm. So even if your message is of high value, if the algorithm doesn't like you, if you don't know the ins and outs on how to use this technology, it's very probably that you are not going to have an audience to listen to what you have to say. And very valuable people have no power in the sense of no one is listening to them, just because there is no much with the current technology. I don't know, Maria, if what I say makes sense to you, because I know you are hearing it also for the first time, but it's for me my deepest. I mean, we can talk about another 1,000 things, but the profound ones are those, at least for my perception, the way I see it. How you feel about it? What is it?
So
What are your thoughts?
I get what you're saying about losing the human connection and people hiding behind their computers. And I think, I don't know if integrity is. It feels a bit harsh to me that you're saying that there's a whole generation that doesn't have integrity, because I think there's also somewhere there's a lack of skills. They haven't been taught. They don't have role models. I mean, a lot of the next generation coming up, their role models are on TikTok. They're online, and there's a lot of fake stuff online. We know that. So
Yes.
I think there's also, I think there's a part of it where the problem is that I know growing up, I was looking for female role models in leadership, which we
Mm.
lacked, and we didn't have access to the information we have nowadays. I think right now the problem is the opposite. They have too much access, and I think there's a generation that has access to too much information, and knowing how to make the difference between what's real, what's not real, what's
Yes.
feasible, what's right, what's wrong. I think that's the biggest challenge for this generation, because they are bombarded with all these different things that they're looking at, and they're trying to model behaviors
I think this plethora of information,
exactly. So
it really
I,
erases many things.
yeah, and I think in Simon Sinek talks about this a lot,
Mm.
about it's been a generation of people who don't know how to have difficult conversations, so they prefer not to. So somebody will resign rather than having a conversation where they ask for a raise, because they feel uncomfortable having that conversation. And so I think there's a lack of, as you were saying, but skills. They're lacking these social skills to have these
Yes, yes,
conversations that are
yes,
difficult.
yes.
So integrity seems a bit hard to me, because it doesn't mean that these people, because they lack the skills, they're not honest people. I think they just don't often. I mean, there are some of them definitely, but
Yes.
I think there's also a lot of people who just don't know how to do it. So, and I think it's a bit sad. It's
But it's look, the integrity. I talk about the integrity like a muscle. It's like you live, let's say you are a person that lives in the ancient times, so you have to walk every day, you have to hunt your food every day. So if you are somebody that lives today, you order your food and it comes at home. So what you do is you sit all the day in your chair. Similarly, if you don't have to be in an office with somebody, or go to your client and see your client
Mm.
and have this difficult conversation with your client face to face, it's not the same. It's much easier online.
Yeah, but if you
And,
don't
and,
know
and,
better, if
and
you've
what I see
never,
is that people disappear. People, they
yeah,
don't want to do business, or something goes wrong, they simply disappear.
I agree.
They, they
It's very
switch off,
frustrating.
or they send you an email
I know. If you're lucky, you get an email.
if you are lucky.
If you're lucky.
And that is, for me, before it wasn't that the case. You had to go there and say, okay, listen, we are not going to do business because of those reasons.
Yeah.
So it wasn't this easy to get out.
Yeah, but also your clients weren't the other side of the world. Your clients were your
Of
next door
course, of
neighbors. You
course,
lived
of
in the
course,
same city.
absolutely.
I mean, so a lot has changed, and they're living in a world that has nothing to do with the world we grew up in.
Yes,
And the
yes,
people they're speaking to are most likely not from the same culture as them because they are from another country. There's also
yes,
the cultural differences.
of
So
course.
you're having to deal with all these things that are very different in this world. And I think I agree, it's very challenging. It can be extremely frustrating. I'm like you, I get very frustrated with people who don't answer or who just ghost you. But I
Yes,
do think
yes,
there is a reality these people are that this generation is growing up in, that they're confronted with so many different things that we didn't have at their time, and they're having to deal with and having to sort out. And if they are don't not guided by the right people, or they don't have the right role models, or they don't have someone to teach them or tell them, show them the right way to do it, what are they supposed to do? It's I can empathize to how overwhelming it must be nowadays to start your career, or even growing up in this world right now. It must be very, very hard.
it's hard, but at the same time, I feel also that there is, like, we cannot understand a 20-year-old
No,
today how he sees the world,
absolutely
because
not.
he was grown up in a world that it didn't
It's very
exist
different.
20 years ago. So I see
Exactly.
my kids, they were born with mobile technology. For them, it's something completely normal, like the internet existed forever. And,
Sure.
and, and, and that's a completely new world with new ethics, with new approaches. And this tendency to find the compatibility between real human communication, which is adapted to the algorithm, to the
Yeah.
algorithms, let's say, I think the only way to overcome that is to make the algorithm that much more intelligent, that can adapt normal, natural human, adapt to natural human behavior as it should be.
Hmm.
The second question, of course, that I think is that possible? Because who is going to make this new technology? The persons that they didn't grow up otherwise. So it's because, I was talking before about GDPR, how misunderstood the concept of GDPR is. So there are people that are completely, they are hiding, everything is GDPR for them, and it makes sense. Okay, I'm not against GDPR. I think there should be some regulation there. It cannot be Wild West. From the other side, as a salesperson, I mean, sales always since the ancient times happened because somebody went to somebody else and said, hello, nice to meet you, I have this product here, would you like to buy that? That was always the case. That was the case at the time of Jesus Christ. It was the case 500 years ago. It's the case today. So, in how far within this, let's say, bombardment of spam can a healthy, natural approach exist without being perceived as spam or as something that has bad intentions.
Hmm.
It's one of the problems.
I think it's difficult, but I do believe people still value the human connection, building relationship. I think in the future they'll value them even more because of this world that's becoming so tech heavy and so automated, and so when the people who will make the effort to actually have those conversations, meet people, build relationships, I believe those are people who are able to build strong relationships with their clients, long lasting loyalty. People are not loyal to a machine. They're not going to be loyal to, they'll be loyal to a brand as long as it fulfills what they want, but you can't have the same kind of loyalty as you would have to a human being, right? So I want to believe that in the future, the more tech rolls out, and the more automated and tech heavy this world becomes, people are going to value more and more the actual human connections. And I think somewhere the pandemic showed that in a way, because suddenly everybody had to go online. Well, what's the first thing you did when you got offline? You were just going to see people. You were so happy to
Yes.
see people in person. I think you realize what you've lost, once you've lost it, right? And I think it did open people's eyes to, hey, we could actually live in a world where we're all in our home in front of a computer and never see anybody else again because we can order online. It's possible, but people also realize that's not what they want. Most people,
Yes.
at least I think in the world, don't want that. They want human connection.
I think it human. I mean, I hope I'm not wrong, but I think human connection cannot be replaced from machines.
Yeah.
What I find very challenging in my work, and I have to say that I'm lucky that I'm based in Europe and most of my clients are Europeans, and we interact in Europe, but we do also some sales calls to the United States. So the difference between the United States and Europe is that in Europe, at least you make it to speak to a person. It can be the secretary, yes, but it's a human being at the other side of the phone. While in the United States, I call and there is like a voicemail that prompts you to another voicemail where you
Press one,
you are
press
lucky,
two,
you are going
press
to give
three.
them press one for this, press two for that,
Yeah.
press the first three letters of that person's names, and you don't come to speak to a person.
Yeah.
So it makes communication practically
Impossible.
impossible.
But that's their objective. They don't want people speaking to anyone.
Yes, but that's fine. I do understand. I do understand that. But for, I understand why. I understand why is that. But if you are the one that you are going to choose a product that you can only see through Google Ads or through whatever access to media you have, why do you know how you know that this is the good product for you and there might exist another product out there which is from somebody that is not so techy, from somebody that probably doesn't have the budget to do all this advertising that the other guys do, that might serve you better than the one that they want to sell you, just because you don't give the opportunity to those companies to get in touch with you. And you might lose. I understand it might be very annoying to receive 100 calls just to find value in one. I get that. But it's, again, it's not ideal.
Yeah, you want to get in front of a person. I think it's the same sort of challenges leaders are facing, in a way, because suddenly they had to go into managing and leading people remotely or hybrid, and that's still going on. And they're still trying to figure out, should we be remote? Should we be back all back in the office? Should we be hybrid? And there's lots of discussions, and people are agreeing and disagreeing. And I don't know. The future will tell us who was right, but in the middle of that, you have all these challenges about diversity, equity, inclusion. Those are really big ones right now. Everybody's talking about it. And employee engagement and retention, because I mean, between all the people that are quite quitting and the companies that are actually downsizing, people don't trust big businesses anymore. They want to go off and do their own thing. I mean, especially with the pandemic, again, it's opened everybody's eyes onto, actually, you know what, maybe I could do something else myself. So I think leaders are facing a whole bunch of new challenges post-pandemic that we didn't have. I didn't have when I was starting, and there is something to be said about, again, a skill gap that many leaders have because of technology, because of this new generation coming in with skills they don't have. Having to lead 20-year-old people is a whole different ball game. So I think it's a bit the same challenges and they're facing. And it's about, okay, how do we upskill all the leaders of the companies that are a certain age and are not as tech savvy or as comfortable with technology as the new generation is, and also just to be able to understand and work with them, communicate. As you're saying, they don't communicate as we did, but you have to communicate with them in the way they want to be communicated to, because those are the people that are coming up behind us, and you don't have a choice. So I think leaders are facing the same challenges here as you're mentioning in sales, because it's all about, the world has changed much faster in the last 20, 30 years than it has in the last 100. And it's, how do you catch up? How do you stay up to date? How do you stay relevant? How do you keep things
There's
moving?
an insane pace of changes. I mean, it's insane, the speed that things change. It's amazing. But you were talking about the challenges of leaders, and I was thinking about the lady that ran Yahoo with no success.
Yeah.
And Elon Musk recently, that he fired 80% of Twitter employees, and the rest ones he wanted to have them in his office and not remotely.
Mm.
And that shows something. That yes, the traditional office and being there present physically, it matters. And I can tell you, because my business is a completely remote business. We don't have an office, so everybody works from his own location. It is challenging. And the biggest challenge that I have with people are not the skills, because the skills I can find. But again, I go to the thing, the integrity, the reliability. Can I trust him?
Yeah.
Can I trust him? And through the years that we are now 7 years in this business, I noticed that I am with some people stayed with me all these years. Mm. And they are very good people, very skilled people, but most importantly, it's the connection and the integrity and the backbone.
Yeah.
So there are virtues of the character other than just being very good at calculus or so, that are there, that gives value to them and to me as well. Yeah. So,
because those are your values, so you want to work with people who share your values, right? And that's probably, that's why they've stayed with you, because you share common values, and that's why you've kept them, right?
I think so. I have 4 advices to give to somebody that would like to navigate and try his luck online and see.
Go ahead.
Because I think always, instead of pointing out the challenges, you should also propose some solutions to those. And I can tell you the solutions that I propose through my experience so far. And my experience in this online business is more than 7 years. I can tell you that. So number 1 is have a standpoint. So not everybody's going to like you. So have your standpoint, and that's it. You cannot change constantly with the intent to be likable to everybody. That doesn't work. So have a standpoint. Not everybody's going to like you. Consider SEO and keywords and all the other algorithm-related things that you should know in order to survive in this new world. However, hello?
Yes. Yeah, still see you.
Yes. However, content comes first. So first is content, then are keywords. I will not create content to please the keywords. Okay? I will create content with consideration to keywords, with consideration to SEO, but content has a priority. There is no magic email communication. I bought a book called Secrets to Copywriting. Yes, there are some points there, but there is no secrets to write a successful subject. I would say avoid capital letters, avoid shouting, avoid exaggerations, be sincere. There is no magic. Sincerity is your strength. And I would say also what I did the last year, maybe 2 years, and that was very beneficial to me. I saw that all the activity that I was doing online, what really worked and what didn't. And I can tell you it worked. SEO works, LinkedIn works, and all the rest, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, and all these things, they, at least for me, they don't work. So concentrate on what works. You do not have to be present everywhere. Be present on specific channels and win a reputation on those channels.
Solid advice.
Yes, it's my own advice, through my real life experience, because we see, everybody of us sees these superheroes, and I don't know, the superhero Tony Robbins concept. I'm not a big fan of that. Okay, I don't want to say all this is nonsense. I don't think there is like an absolute. I mean, there are some good points, but in generally, many times the more humble professional offers more value than the superstar.
My advice on leadership would be, you need to constantly be learning. Basically, you've never finished learning or getting better at what you are. So for me, it's you have to continuously question what you know, what you don't know, and make sure you're keeping up to date on how to improve and get better at things. So that's something I didn't spend enough time doing when I was working. I was so consumed by my work. So my advice, which I gave recently to somebody who was asking me some advice, was make some time for your personal development, because
Absolutely.
Personal development is personal. And basically that's what it is. You need to do it. Don't expect anybody else to do it for you. You need to take that in your hands, and you need to be responsible of your personal development. So make the time, put in your calendar every week to just have some time to do whatever, read a book, learn a lesson, listen to a podcast, do something that's going to help you improve in whatever field you're interested in. And it should be constant. It should be part of your lifestyle.
Absolutely. That's what I do. I wake up very early in the morning and I dedicate the first 2 hours on my personal development. I read the books that I know I will not read later on in the day, or I do things that I write articles because they help me understand things better, and it's a sort of meditation for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, because after 9 a.m.
it's over.
It's over. It's done. And in the afternoon, it doesn't work. It's possible. Yeah. Good. Very nice, Maria. Nice to have you back.
Thank you. Nice to be back.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.